because at the end of the day, I still want to be able I don't dislike George Washington. I don't dislike even some of the most racist people in history. But I want to know their history, but I also want to know not only that, you know, hey, they were whatever, but I also want to know about the Shirley Chisholms. I also want to know about the Frederick Douglasses. And not even Nat Turner. I want to know more about Nat Turner than him just being some revolutionary. I want to know the Nat Turner that was out in the fields. I want to know the Nat Turner that grew up as a kid. I don't want to know just the narrative. You know, tuned in, start begin service. 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 Tuned in, start begin service.
Q9, my futon, hold it up and smoke it. Transgression of progression of a war we ain't asked for. Transgression of progression of a war we ain't asked for.
It's madness, yo. All the things that we could talk about.
Call it.
But let's talk about these urban circumstances real quick.
And basically it's
we got this.
So,
revolutionary.
Frosty hand. Muhammad is the famed name, forever stand.
Standing on royal fusing of justice for the few, ridiculed by the pale terrorists bent on genocidal obsession, rooted in fear of neglection and abandonment, fueled by nightmares of ancestors' jealousy.
Because at the end of the day, I still want to be able I don't dislike George Washington.
The kind of friends I think all friends should be like my friends. My friends are the kind of friends I think everyone needs. My friends see the things at times I don't see. My friends hate the police.
What has changed?
Are deemed the criminals, and the blacks are deemed the criminals.
Shut up and help.
Reflection ain't nothing but the inner child trying to see you. You gonna look? You gonna pick up that book?
Lord, keep me far from the faith. Guide me through night and day. Teach me your ways. Show me the righteous way to sway. Lord, can you teach me, please? Show me the way, I'd say.
Good morning. We're going to get this all right this morning. This morning, we're going to talk about unveiling justice, racial slurs, pandemic fraud, and law enforcement accountability. But y'all already know how I do this every morning. We're going to kick it off some right. And I feel like, people don't tell their stories enough. And this morning, I wanted to start off with something that I feel like we don't listen to enough, and that's conscious hip hop music. So I want to play a song that I feel like everybody can relate to, and your story is your glory. So with that being said, let's get into it. And this is D1. Your story is your glory.
Yeah, it's one of them real ones. You gotta tell your story so they can appreciate your glory. Michael Jordan ain't got more rings than Robert Horry. Everybody's path is different, we all got a story. I never fit into nobody's box or category. When I do me to the fullest, the people can't ignore me. I soak up game from real ones that came before me. I'm not for everybody, and everyone ain't for me. But those who really get to see my heart, they adore me. Using this pencil to scribble what's in my mental. Got famous on accident, was just trying to be influential. Unless you serving the devil, I promise I'm not against you. My heaviest competition is reaching my full potential. I had a deal with Cash Money, but I never signed it. Before I got into this game, I knew my assignment. Mission vision, baby, I refuse to be blinded. Never chasing clout, I'm looking for divine alignment. I grinded, scrutinized my skills, made improvements. Now I own apartment complexes. You need a unit? I'm out in Munich, Germany, then in Rotterdam, Amsterdam, Manchester, London, with a lot of fans. Making memories with my brethren. Pray my dead homies singing melodies in heaven. And don't be scared for me. You know who I'm fighting for, it's in my name, yeah. Oh no. Underdogs and outcasts. Tell your story so they can appreciate your glory. Michael Jordan ain't got more rings than Robert Horry. Everybody's path is different, we all got a story. I never fit into nobody's box or category. When I do me to the fullest, the people can't ignore me. I soak up game from real ones that came before me. I'm not for everybody, and everyone ain't for me. But those who really get to see my heart, they adore me. My life is like a perfect balance of pleasure and pressure. I'm blessed beyond measure, but the blessings ain't my treasure. A trailblazer, so when they hate, I remain fine. Pull my team through, then tap my wrist, it's Dame time. I'm taking charge and taking charges. I found my chip. To lead the squad, I serve them, that's serving leadership. And life is not an open layup, the lane is congested. I learn to rise above it, I got my floater perfected. Putting up threes, whether long range or and ones. Always been the one to take shots, never wear handguns. They can't check me, so they foul. I'm talking sex and flagrants, and you never know what I'm gonna say in my post-game statements. This my 15th season, it's time to grind out. How many I got left? We gon' find out, cause I don't get tired. Don't need a 30-second timeout. With my albums and mixtapes, this my 30-second timeout. Tell your story so they can appreciate your glory. Michael Jordan ain't got more rings than Robert Horry. Everybody's path is different, we all got a story. I never fit into nobody's box or category. When I do me to the fullest, the people can't ignore me. I soak up game from real ones that came before me. I'm not for everybody, and everyone ain't for me. But those who really get to see my heart, they adore me.
That was D1. Your story is your glory. And really, honestly, people need to be telling their stories because it is your glory. And the only way that we move on into the future, into becoming unified, is to tell your story so that people can understand your glory, because everybody's success looks different. Everybody's road to success looks different. Everybody's life is different, and I think that's something that's not talked about enough. It needs to be talked about way more. So this morning I wanted to get into unveiling injustice, racial slurs, pandemic fraud, and law enforcement accountability. So again, welcome to the Urban Conservative. Today I'm going to strip away the veneer to expose the deep-seated issues of racism, fraud, and law enforcement accountability that continue to plague our communities. We demand justice and truth without compromise. First, let's turn our attention to Rochester. A vile act of hate recently shook the community. 4 teenagers aged 16 to 17 were behind this racial slur posted on a bridge over East Circle Drive, which is by a high school, Century High School in Rochester, Minnesota. This incident left residents questioning the origins of such hate and ignited a debate on the systemic racism embedded in the city. The Rochester NAACP and Rochester Public Schools organized a town hall to address the incident and promote healing. However, many felt this response was merely a band-aid on a festering wound, ignoring the larger issue of systemic racism that pervades our society. Chaz Neal, a community member, voiced what many were thinking. Did these teenagers learn this hate at home? Because it sure doesn't seem like they picked it up in school. And that is something that I asked, you know what I'm saying, is this, it's such, you know, people want to talk about bringing Rochester public schools. This wasn't done on school time. So why are we bringing in our school education system when it had nothing to do with that, right? This is something that was taught at home. This is something that they learned at home. And it's not something that I believe that is taught in school. So I want to share a story that came out last night. I actually interviewed for this story with KAL ABC News out of Rochester. And I just want to play this, and it's not that long.
Join us Monday, June 17th for the 17th Annual Samaritan Bethany Golf Classic at Summerby.
Always an ad.
Golfing for a cause has never been this fun. Registration is now open. 17th Annual Samaritan Bethany Golf Classic.
People got to make their money. People got to make their money. Okay, here we go.
Police have identified the suspects who defaced a pedestrian bridge near Century High School with a racial slur.
That's right. 4 teenagers are now being investigated. Police say they're all males ages 16 to 17 years old, but it's unclear whether they're students of Century High School. Our Rachel Mantes joins us live now from our newsroom with more on how the community is reacting tonight. Rachel?
Yeah, Maisie, Robin, the main feeling from people I spoke with is disgust. With still no why as to why the racial slur was written in the first place, many now want accountability. It came as a shock to the community when the slur was first discovered, written on this bridge using cups. But some say this one instance of hate shows a larger issue of systemic racism in Rochester.
Find out that it was 4 teenagers. Are these teenagers that hang out with, you know, African-American kids, Black American kids? Is this something that was taught at home? Because I don't feel like this is something they learned at school.
RPS released a statement on the new suspects saying, in part, "We're eager and committed to continuing the work we started within our schools to address the root causes of prejudice, bias, and discrimination, and to create an environment where all people feel valued and included." But the community can't agree on if these juveniles should face charges. What they can agree on, the focus should be on educating the young people believed to be responsible.
We hope that they have an opportunity to reflect. They have an opportunity to positively change their behaviors, to change their thought process, to understand the implications of what they've done.
Olmsted County Attorney's Office is now reviewing the case before making any charging decisions. Live in the newsroom, Rachel Mantos, ABC 6 News.
This is my opinion, you know, only. I don't feel like, you know, at the end of the day, this was an individual act of racism. You know, and what I told the reporter last night is that, you know, you have the NAACP talking about this one incident, you know, but what about the others? And I feel like the things that they do is to deflect and distract from actually getting rid of systemic racism, because for the simple fact of, like, just yesterday, the guy that you've seen at the end, Wale, who is the president of the NAACP, you know, they're putting on Juneteenth is coming up and everybody's doing the RGB. And for me, it's like, that's not the colors for Juneteenth. It's not. And I know people have a problem with red, white, and blue. I understand it, that, but I want people to remember this, is that our ancestors fought and died for those colors, right? And maybe not necessarily, they were American descendants of slavery, right? They were brought over here and have to deal with everything that has been thrown at them, regardless if it has been, you know, racism, if it's been Jim Crow, if it's been numerous other things. And yet we're still here. We're still here living. We're still here breathing. We're still here fighting to be recognized, fighting to be seen, and it's like people just still want to get rid of Black American history, and I don't understand it when you have it's people that consider themselves Black. So I wanted to show this because I think it is important, and people need to it's about telling the truth, right? And I think people get so because I'll tell you right now, and this is what I told Rachel Mantos too as well, is that I don't see Wale as being Black. He's an African, right? He's not African American. He's a Nigerian African, right? Nothing to do with America. So I got into it. Now I'm not gonna say get into it, but I say, look at the colors of Juneteenth, red, white, and blue, aren't merely symbols of American identity. They are a bold declaration of Black Americans' rightful place in the fabric of this nation. These colors, which adorn the flag of the United States, are reclaimed and repurposed on the Juneteenth flag to assert that despite centuries of being treated as less than full citizens, Black Americans are indeed the very essence of America. The red represents the bloodshed, the struggle, and the life force of those who endured the brutality of enslavement. It is the lifeblood of the resilience and the fight for recognition and rights that flows through the history of Black Americans. The white symbolizes the honesty, the purity, and the truth that must be acknowledged, that freedom and justice were denied, and that the Emancipation Proclamation was a promise long overdue. The blue stands for the perseverance, the vigilance, and the steadfastness of a people who, despite facing the ongoing challenges of systemic racism, continue to stand tall and strive forward. Together, these colors on the Juneteenth flag symbolize a history interwoven with pain and pride, a reminder that freedom was not given but taken by right, in a future where the promise of America is finally fulfilled for all its people. It's a flag that doesn't just celebrate the end of physical bondage, but also the ongoing journey towards true emancipation, a journey that requires the recognition of Black Americans as full, unadulterated citizens of the United States. This is the heart of Juneteenth, a day to remember the past, confront the present, and fight for the future. Organizations, please stop misleading our children about Black history. Teach them the truth. Black Americans are just not a part of America. They are the essence of it. It's time to honor that truth and ensure that future generations understand the real history and contributions of Black Americans. And I say that because we've done so much as Black Americans, and it goes overlooked because of how history is told, right? We hear more things about, Pan-Africanism, and other things like that, and it's all by design. It's to erase so that they don't have to pay reparations, that they don't have to think about the dark times of America, when America wasn't beautiful. America wasn't, well, it still isn't now, to be honest. We're still dealing with racism. We're still dealing with systemic racism. And it's one thing that city entities, that nonprofits, that government, they don't want to look at. They don't want to have to look at inside themselves. Just like yesterday when we played Mary Mordery, the Hennepin County attorney, and how she dismissed the charges against Ryan Lundgren. And I think a lot of people, I know a lot of people took that hard. And it's, for me, is people have to think about elections have consequences. We have to stop riding behind the Democrats. It's time to start believing in us and take away the power from them, because they're keeping actual real accountability and justice away from our communities, away from our streets, all under the guise that they're making changes, and they're not. And we allow it. Why is that? That's one thing that I think about constantly. Why do we allow for this to go on? Why? That's one thing that I sit there and I wonder. Well, let's get into the next story. So, I want to address the tragic loss of Officer Mitchell, who was an African American officer shot in the line of duty. The Unity Community Mediation Team, composed largely of Black pastors and community leaders, held a press conference to mourn and call for action. Reverend Rooney Patterson emphasized unique burden Black churches face in addressing tragedies, while Reverend Ian Bethel Sr. highlighted efforts to improve police-community relations through mentorship programs. That's not going to work, man. However, we must be critical of UCMT for selling out our Black community, and I'm going to get into what I'm saying. They've aligned themselves with the very system that oppresses us. Instead of demanding real change, UCMT's call to action is clear. The community must rally with the same energy it shows when citizens fall victim to police violence. They demand transparency, urging investigators to release footage of the incident. They should. City council members joined the governor and mayor to honor Mitchell, but UCMT continues to push for unconditional support from the council for the police. This is a betrayal. The message is clear. Justice must be served and the community must come together, not just in times of protest, but in building a system of true accountability and respect. Because that's what's missing. We're not being told the truth. Nobody's saying anything anymore. And that's sad. That's sad. So I wanted to play just a quick little video from yesterday from their little press conference. And I'll say right now, these are some of the fakest ass people in Minneapolis. Some of the fakest. I can't stand them. And I have no of hiding it. These are some of the fakest people in Minneapolis. And these are part of the reason why we don't get no change. And until people realize that, but I'm going to make people realize that they're the problem. So with that being
starting its goodbye to Officer Jamal Mitchell. He was gunned down while responding to a shooting in South Minneapolis last week, and this weekend his body was escorted to a funeral home in North Minneapolis, with first responders lining that procession path. Kaya Edwards spoke with community leaders today about the violence that took the beloved officer's life. Kaya?
Rena, today a group met not just to honor Officer Mitchell, but also to call on Minneapolis City Council and other political leaders to do more.
I've met Officer Mitchell on several occasions in the community. That's why my heart is hurting right now.
At a church a couple of miles south from where Minneapolis police officer Jamal Mitchell died in the line of duty, the Unity Community Mediation Team gathers to honor him.
It's particularly hard in the African American community because it's an African American officer.
He wanted to make a change.
Many in this group are pastors.
We as Black pastors and Black churches don't have a choice but to deal with these issues, because usually on a daily, weekly basis, we are called upon when tragedy comes into our community.
All have been working to prevent violence.
Not by verbiage, but by actually in the trenches and doing the work and not even getting paid for it.
And they have a memorandum of understanding with Minneapolis police.
Not getting paid
showing us
for
a
it.
mentorship program involving BIPOC and female officers is up and running.
We are now in compliance.
Now the team is calling on community to act.
Oftentimes when the role is reversed, when it's an officer perhaps taking the lives of a citizen, there's protesters, there's marches. We need to have the same kind of energy.
They should release the tape so people can see the carnage what was brought to that family and what they did to them.
City Council joined the governor and mayor for a press conference honoring Mitchell Thursday, but the group wants council to unconditionally support police.
We must support law enforcement. Stop the politics.
One group member suggested launching a police recruitment program at schools in Mitchell's name. I reached out to Council President Elliot Payne to ask if there are any additional plans to honor him. We'll update you once we get a response.
All right, thank you, Kai.
Revolutionize your roofing experience with eRoof. eRoof provides.
I'm not sure what they were talking about either. I know that there was some issues, um, supposedly with contracts. Here's my thing of it is, right, that the contracts weren't paid out. But here's I will say this. Right. Right. And that's exactly what I was going to get into. And here's the thing of it is, these people act like people don't. Here's the thing. Only certain people know. It's not this is the one thing that blows my mind, right? Because Jerry McAfee's got court coming up, right? And he was talking about all this is public. Yeah, it might be public, but do they know? Do they know? Right? Because it was crazy. I was going through Twitter this morning, and one of the biggest stories out of Minnesota right now, that I feel, and people are totally ignoring it, man, and it's sad. Deanna came up with something. I didn't share the screen, my bad. So there is more information coming out about, and that's what I want to get into next is feeding our future, man. That shit blew my mind yesterday. And that's something that we definitely need to be talking about in Minnesota, is the feeding our future, because that's wild. So again, if you're in Minneapolis, you definitely need to you need to watch this story. You need to learn about this story. They're all in jail right now in Sherburne County. I guess there was a report. Let's see. Let's see if there's any reports done. I'm not looking at no police. Yeah, that's the craziest shit, man. Let's see what he has. Lou really covered this really good. Don't miss. Okay, let's see. We're gonna follow him. Nope. He ain't have nothing. So let's go to, well, I'll go to what I want to show y'all. But literally, so if you see this right here, yesterday in the Feeding Our Future trial, it was a fucking joke. I'm not even gonna say a joke. You had a juror be offered $120,000 yesterday for a payment. And this is what you're looking at right now on the screen is Feeding Our Future trial yesterday in Minneapolis. And they were this is how it was, supposedly, allegedly, I guess is a better word to say, allegedly. I'm going to pump big so you guys can see it. So you see right here is, this is a bag full of whoever one of the jurors lived out in Spring Lake Park. They were offered a bag of $120,000 to acquit the 7 defendants off the fraud charges for Feeding Our Future. And this is our justice system we're talking about. This is a system that we're supposed to believe in and get justice and accountability. But if the system can be bought or played with, how can we ever actually get real accountability? How can we ever get real justice? And I want people to realize that, because how? When we literally, I want people to understand this. We as Black Americans have to stand up. We have to speak out. And it's not even just about that. It's about just being, right now, everybody needs to stand up and speak out. It's not just Black people. How are we as taxpayers? How are we as people who reside in a country that is supposed to be about an American dream, and you see people are scamming to live that American dream, where you have kids that are suffering, literally suffering and starving in our communities on drugs, selling their bodies, but yet we don't hold the same people accountable. We're so quick to always point the finger. We're so quick to blame parents. We're so quick to do this. We're so quick to do that, instead of just looking at the shit for what it really is, man. And just looking at it for what it really is that everybody's got a price tag. Everybody do. And that's one thing that I'm starting to notice, is that everybody got a price tag. And it's sad. It's sad that we literally cannot depend on our elected officials. We can't depend on the police, because it's always some bullshit. And we don't ever get truth. We don't ever get transparency. And I just think even about the Mary Mortery, Ryan Lundgren case, they offered that man immunity, and he still wouldn't go in there and talk. But then, yeah, then he comes out and says what everybody, the magic words, they feared for his life. They feared for their life, or that they were reaching for the gun, which the video doesn't show. He just raises his hand, doesn't show him grabbing for nothing. But yet now we have another case of injustice. And the sad part about this is some of the comments that I was reading this morning is that, oh, they only wanted money, the Cobb family. I don't believe that. I don't think they wanted money at all. I think they wanted Ricky to be here. I think they want justice and accountability. It's mainstream media that people think that they just want money. What are they supposed to do if you can't get accountability and justice? If you can't get transparency, that's the only way you're going to get it, is in civil. And that's sad, because we get more financial accountability, right, than we actually get for accountability. We get bank accounts get fatter. Our community gets worse. And nothing ever changes. George Floyd happened in 2020. And that's one thing that Mary Mortery said something very deep yesterday, is that just a few weeks ago, not even a few weeks ago, just a few days ago, about a week ago, it was the remembrance of George Floyd. People wanted to bring up that there was 4,298 lives lost at the hands of the police since George. But what have we done since then to make that stop happening? Nothing. We come out here, we get mad, right? We go shut down highways. We go yell at empty buildings. But what does that do? Because we don't go to the voter polls. We don't research. We don't do our homework. We don't educate ourselves on how we can have a better system. No, what's crazy is, I think is that, honestly, I'll say this. If Ryan Lundgren would have said this right away in a statement, that he believed that Ricky was reaching for the weapon and that his partner was in danger, then I would believe it. But see, they've had ample enough time to create a story that is believable and a narrative that is believable in the media. Because it's became so political and people are so worried about getting elected than actually doing the right thing. And that's sad, because that's what we seen yesterday. That's what we seen yesterday. It wasn't about justice, because if it was about justice, let the jury handle it. Let the courts handle it. Why are we letting politics? And that's what's sad. And nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about the 2-year-old that OD'd in Minneapolis. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the girls that are out selling themselves for $5 to get high. They're not talking about that. Right? Because they want out of sight, out of mind. That's why they keep it in one area. And they hate when it goes downtown. They hate when it goes to other areas. They want it out of sight, out of mind. And I swear to God, that's why this weekend we'll be over on Lake Street, which a little better reception. So we will be live. And I want people to see this shit, because that's what we're going to start doing. Because we got to make changes. There's too much goddamn money out here for Minneapolis, for Minnesota to be looking like this, period. And it's not just Minneapolis, it's Chicago, it's Philly. We need to start holding our elected officials accountable. We need to start holding our so-called community leaders accountable, because they want to hold us accountable. Why can't we hold them accountable? Because our neighborhoods are going to shit. Our communities are going to shit. And I know people see that. It's not hard to, but if you don't go down there, out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. And that's one thing that bugs me, because everybody can talk, they can use it, right? They can use it for their selling points, but then they won't go down there. They won't go down there and try to attempt to change it, because that's the one part that blew my mind was UCMT. You guys talk about a relationship with the police. We can't even get truth out of y'all. But how? And first of all, for unity, there has to be accountability. And that's what everybody misses, right? You can't have unity without accountability. They go together. And that's why we'll never get unity, because nobody wants to be accountable. We'll never unite because nobody wants to be accountable. Never. Never. It's not about accountability. It's not about unity. It's about divide and conquer. And the more they can divide us is the more that they've conquered us. And we're letting them divide us. We're letting the groups like BLM, the NAACP, the Democrats, the Republicans, we are letting them divide us, all in the name of power. The power. We've so forgotten of what our politics is even about. It's about we the people. We the people. And yet we over here, this is the sickest thing, man, is like, I see conversations and they're talking about Trump. I understand it. It hurts me too, because it's crazy as hell how you can run for president as a felon. But see, here's the thing for me. And I'll say this, if Trump was black, they wouldn't be letting him. Just like right now with Andy Williams. You know, they talk about Biden and Trump and Kennedy, but there's so many other candidates. You know, Cornel West, you got Andy Williams Jr., you got Jill Stein, you got Chase, I think his last name is, from the Libertarian Party. You have so many other candidates, but they don't want you to see that you have options. And not that to be at the end of the day, it really doesn't even matter. It doesn't even really matter. Because I'll tell you right now, they're trying to save their ass. And it's everything that people have been calling out, with the fact that he's limiting the immigrants coming out through the border now. He just signed an executive order on immigration. The Democrats just did this yesterday in Minnesota. You see what they're trying to do even with the federal courts. You have them bribing jurors. To dodge accountability, to dodge justice. And we go for it. We go for it. And why? You know, I sit there and I ask myself, why? Why do we continually go through the things that we go through, and we can change it? We can change it. All we have to do is just unite. It's not about, you know, the crazy thing of it is I sit there and I tell myself, oh, you know what, I wanted to thank DA for this because he makes a very good, strong point. I need to add the stage. So, for context, Unity Community Mediation Team, this group of Black pastors led by Reverend Bethel have been getting paid from police reform since 2003 at least. Yes, that is 20 years of fuckery. And I don't even agree with DA, but with this one I do. So for them to go up there and say that they don't get paid, it's a lie. And that's what I'm saying. Nobody ever calls these people out on their bullshit. Nobody. And we can literally prove it on paper that they're paid. And if it's the city's fault or the state's fault because of contract issues, that has nothing to do with us. But on paper, we can see you're getting money. I don't care about that the checks aren't being sent out. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Right? Then you need to go get on the city, and maybe you guys need to start exposing or being called whistleblowers or being called haters. Because I would love to know if that's the one crazy part is, and that's all I'm asking, is anytime I ask a question about money, about these contracts, I'm called a hater, right? But then when I put up the receipts, they stop answering. You know, they call me a liar. But then when I put it up, why are they silent? But yet people will get at me. Because at the end of the day, Jerry McAfee talking about how much he does for addicts. Well, if you were doing so much for addicts, why did your treatment center get shut down? If you cared so much, why were you lying on reports about patients, about their recovery? You were having people that weren't even qualified to be counselors. So don't tell me you care, because at the end of the day, all this is money for you, just like buying rehab houses. That's why you're in civil court right now and you lost. You have a judgment against you in the tune of $261,000, bro. So McAfee, leave that bullshit at the door. That's why I don't believe none of you niggas. They all will lie to your face, and then when you show that, they say, well, you're lying. If you can't show, then you show receipts, they shut the fuck up. They shut the fuck up. And that's how it is. Are they bring up your criminal past? How are you going to bring up something from 30 years ago and I'm bringing up something that is actually is current? You're actually going through right now and has to do with your contracts with the city and the state. And we allow it. We allow it because, first of all, we're undereducated and people don't understand, right? And that's the sickest part about it all, is that people don't even understand. So let's go. Let's see what they was talking about on here in the comments. Fuck that. Damn, say defund. All they're trying to do is think that to show or make it seem like the community. Yeah, see, this all bullshit. Bullshit, 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 bull. And this is what's crazy, because that's Victor Martinez, a so-called Republican. A so-called Republican. So you tell me that's fucking Victor Martinez, who is supposed to be a Republican standing with a bunch of dirty fucking liars. So you tell me, is it really that these so-called Republicans in Minneapolis really ain't Republicans and will really just do whatever to get votes? Because that's what's sick to me. That's Victor fucking Martinez. This coffee good as hell. No. And I'm not scared to call them out. That's just like, you got people out here talking about screaming fuck 12, but yet then talking about they're starting memorials for officers. Jonathan Mason. That's how I know you guys are. This is how I know that people aren't serious about change. You're not. And at the end of the day, Here's my thing about Officer Mitchell. That's a black man. He was killed by a Somalian. He wasn't killed by another black man. He was killed by somebody that they want to put that is BIPOC, but they don't like us, right? They don't like Black Americans. So I'm not gonna. And if people don't want to talk about the Somali Black American problems in Minneapolis, I will, because there's a lot and that people don't want to discuss. So, for the simple fact, the problem is a lot of it doesn't even have to do with inside the community. It's the politics. You pit us against each other. You pit us. You say you're doing one thing, but then at the end of the day, it's really not for us. It's for them. And I'm not saying that these people should be ignored. I'm not saying that. But listen, when it comes to the legislation, it should be about Black Americans. It should be about Black Americans. Black Americans, because everybody want to talk shit about how this is the one crazy part for me, right? Because everybody talks shit about the Marcus Garvey and the whole Pan-African movement, right? But yet we'll sit there and celebrate holidays that use those colors for Pan-Africanism. Make it make sense to me. That's how I know that we literally as people are dumb, that we're scared of confronting stuff that we think that we don't understand, but we do understand. It's about educating yourself. It's about education. And there's nothing wrong with educating yourself. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Let's see what's trending. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the stock market. I don't care about Garland. Executive order, murdered Caitlin Clark, Ethiopia, stock market, Operation Warp Speed. Let's see what that is. Damn. Trump, it was a miracle that we got it. Operation Warp Speed was an unbelievable thing. Yeah, what's going on with this vaccination shit? I don't get this of what's going on with you can't leave Trump out of this. He claims he's the father of the vaccine, and Operation Warp Speed is his greatest accomplishment.
Pressed former President Donald Trump on making Fauci a star during the COVID-19 pandemic.
You actually gave him a presidential commendation before you left office. Wouldn't you like a do-over on that?
I don't know who gave him the commendation. I really don't know who gave him the commendation.
Presidential commendation. One went out to Mark
somebody
Kelly,
probably handed him a commendation.
Someone did give Fauci a commendation, Donald Trump. Presidential commendations are a public recognition of someone's achievements or contributions to the country. An archived version of Trump's White House website shows that on his last full day of office, Trump awarded presidential commendations to 52 people, including Fauci. Trump recognized the team from Operation Warp Speed, which was tasked with quick development of a COVID-19 vaccine. The award didn't get much news coverage as Trump was getting ready to leave the White House and Joe Biden was being prepared to be sworn in the next day. Who gave Dr. Anthony Fauci a presidential commendation? In a September
What do you think you would do differently?
Yeah, well, you know,
Rights around this country.
Yeah.
And we have lost people because we supported the chat.
Yeah.
What do you think you would do differently?
Yeah, well, you know, everybody wanted a vaccine at that time. And I was able to do something that nobody else could have done, getting it done very, very rapidly.
Rights around this country.
Yeah.
And we have lost people because we supported the chat.
Into Henyard's spending of village resources as well.
Also breaking tonight, one of the most chaotic meetings in Dalton that we've seen yet. Police had to stop it from getting physical.
Let's get right to political reporter Paris Schutz and the showdown.
My bad,
between
y'all. I
Lori
wasn't even
Lightfoot and
talking.
Dalton
Damn.
Mayor
So what I'm
Tiffany
playing
Henyard.
right here
Paris.
is
Dawn and Scott, that showdown.
this is last night in Dalton, Illinois. While we're talking about fraud, I don't know if people have heard the story coming out of Illinois, but it's about fraudulently using money for her own instead of actually using it for the community. So Lori Lightfoot, the old ex-mayor of Chicago, is actually doing an investigation, and she was there last night. So
Also breaking tonight, one of the most chaotic meetings in Dalton that we've seen yet. Police had to stop it from getting physical.
Let's get right to political reporter Paris Schutz and the showdown between Lori Lightfoot and Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Paris.
Dawn and Scott, that showdown is continuing outside of Dalton Village Hall. Trustees voted 4-2 to override Mayor Henyard's veto and reinstate Mayor Lori Lightfoot's investigation into Henyard's spending into that 2023 trip to Las Vegas. And as you mentioned, soon after that vote, things just broke down into utter chaos. Multiple sides shouting obscenities at each other. Cops had to step in and break it up. This is right after Henyard and her allies tried to block Lightfoot from getting up and making some brief remarks. Eventually, Lightfoot got her mic turned on, and here's a little bit of what she had to say.
Thank you. What I would say is that it's an honor to be working on behalf of the residents of Dalton. We are not arresting one another.
You was once a mayor too. You should not even be disrespectful like that. That's sad. Clear the room. Clear the room. Clear the room, guys. This means adjourn. Everybody out.
So 2 hours of absolute contention here. Lots of residents voicing their concerns. Earlier today, Mayor Henyard had the block in front of Village Hall cordoned off, making it very difficult for folks to get here, especially if you were senior or disabled. So Lightfoot's investigation, at least according to trustees, is back on now. It's going to focus into Henyard's spending of village resources, as well as that 2023 trip to Las Vegas. And Henyard doesn't believe the investigation is legal. Now, residents lined up hours before the meeting. They got in, they packed the Village Hall, and they let their feelings about Mayor Henyard be known.
Yeah, you're not going to understand until they put those cuffs on you. You're not going to understand it. You don't care. But baby, they on to you.
It is a shame that we, the public, can't ask you anything about the BMWs, the Range Rovers, all of that. It's like you're keeping all of that hidden from the taxpayers, and we pay for those.
You guys are following fiction, a made-up story. It is a smear campaign going on right now.
So as you can see right outside Dalton Village Hall here on MLK Drive in the village of Dalton, residents still fuming, still voicing their concerns to police officers. Police officers had to keep the peace as the meeting erupted into chaos. But the news out of this meeting.
Insane in the membrane. Wow. Here's is 1 and 2 yesterday. Mr.
Up to $10,000 for a new ride, only at Grand Casino Hinckley.
So there we go. Here goes Governor Walz.
Well, the county attorney got to the right decision. I find it a bit of a stretch that making the case that there were problems in this case, there were things that needed to be addressed, and that was an admission today. Was that position was exactly correct, that there was. So there certainly was no politicization in this. We need to make sure that our justice system is fair, and I think what became apparent to many folks is that there were problems in this prosecution from the beginning, and this was the right place it needed in. Yeah. Yeah, it was very clear that the evidence and what people saw. Well, it was my hope that the county attorney would get to this position. That was very clear. I think you felt it's no, it's not my role to talk to. I never talk to county attorneys. We would never be my responsibility. I don't understand that part of it. But the answer to that is that at some point, had this decision not been made, that yes, we would have done that. I also say that they don't take it lightly. I think that is the wrong, it should not be that way, but there is a safety net in there to allow an egregious situation like this to be corrected. And yes, we would have used that to do that.
Wow. If this is not, if people don't see this as political, I don't know what else.
I think I certainly
he says it right there, and just
in
in
this case, and I will say I'm glad we ended
says
up
the quiet
with
part
the
out
place we have.
loud.
I don't think there's probably a whole lot of extra needed to be added. I think what probably should have been the statement was, after reviewing all the evidence, we determined that the charging decision was wrong, and we've dropped that because my guess is well, not my guess is, the evidence shows that every other person said that. So I'll leave it at that. Well, that's false. Next question. Because it's my responsibility on that checks and balance. That authority is given to us by state law to be able to take a look at these things and overcheck. But I think, like so many things, not an expert on immunology, but I can listen to the experts at the Mayo Clinic and make decisions. And the fact of the matter is that every other attorney came to the same conclusion I did. So.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. What a condescending asshole.
I didn't issue that, but I think probably may have got the feeling that that's the direction things were moving. So I've been very clear since you've been asking me this question that we were adding on to the evidence that was going. And I think it was very clear as more and more came out that was where things were headed. I did not. No, that would not be protocol on that we would make the decision independent of that. Soon. I would just say last week, like all of us here, and rightfully so, we were focused on Jamal Mitchell and what was happening. But yes, we've been working, to look and kept talking about this case as more and more came out, that there were deep concerns with it, and those continued to exacerbate. So, yeah.
Volvo plug-in hybrids, perfect.
Crazy. I mean, I just say it like this, man. Our lives have become so political. It seems like everything nowadays is political, and it's fucked up that we've gotten so away from right and wrong, good versus evil, that we just see everything not as it should be. We're so undereducated that we won't even allow our judicial system. We're allowing our executive and legislative branches allowing us to deal with justice, and that's not the way that it should be, because executive is about power and control, and the same thing with legislative. Right now, our executive power is Democrat. Our legislative power in Minnesota is Democrat, and our judicial system is about truth and transparency, and that's where this should have played out. This story shouldn't have played out. This court case, this trial shouldn't have played out in the state capitol. It shouldn't have played out in the governor's mansion. It shouldn't have played out in city halls. It should have played out in the halls of justice. And it never got an opportunity to play out in the halls of justice because it became so political. It became not about truth and transparency, because it was become a problem for them during election year. And that's what we're seeing. They're afraid to lose that trifecta. They're afraid to lose that power in the House, because that's what's up this year. That power grab, the House in November. And if people don't understand they're only doing that for certain reasons, I don't know what else to tell you, because that's what they're doing. It. They won't come out and say it, but I'll tell you like this, is that they knew what to say of what, and what's crazy is I don't honestly believe on video. I'll tell you right now. No, I don't. I should. Yeah, because I'll tell you right now, if I was a juror and by looking at everything that I have seen, and I don't care about them taking a picture from Ricky's Instagram from years ago, of him holding a gun. That doesn't play out of what happened that night. It has no relevance up to this case at all. So for them to bring up that, I thought it was bullshit, because what you're trying to do is demonize. But I'll tell you right now, from everything that I've seen, is that if they believe that Ricky was a threat to their life, to their safety, they do not need to be out police officers. Because that's crazy as hell, that if a man you have an officer that is over him and all he does is raise his hands and you shoot, wow. And that made you afraid? We shouldn't have officers like that. We really shouldn't. Because we literally have officers just like in Akron, Ohio. Everybody wants to talk about how this mass shooting in Akron. Let's talk about how it happened in front of police officers and they didn't do shit. Just like when in Minneapolis, when they let off 118 rounds, that was in front of police officers and they didn't do shit. Police are not here to prevent anything. They're not here to protect. They're not here to serve. They're not here to do any of that. And yet, but we still believe in it because we have gatekeepers, or we have sheep that are black churches, black pastors, black community leaders that lie to us. And yet people are too afraid. They're too afraid. And that's what I'll say it is. And I'll say anything that I'm saying here today, I'll say it because I'll tell you right now that I feel bad for Minneapolis. I feel bad that you're allowing paid people to talk for you that have gotten billions of dollars into Minneapolis. And what have you received? But a fucked up Minneapolis. So as soon as the community takes the voice away from who they think is the majority, because honestly, they're the minority. And that's what we need to realize, that they're the minority and we're the majority. You can't tell me right now that if every poor person together came together, you can't tell me that we couldn't overrun Minnesota. And I don't mean that as to be I don't want no insurrection type shit or no coup shit, right? Or anything like that. But I mean that if we literally united and fought together, we would be able to overtake Minnesota. And if all we fought for was truth and transparency and accountability so that we could unite, we'd be powerful as hell, and could nobody in America stop us, because we are the majority. But until people start using that voice, we're going to keep on being the minority, because that minority is more outspoken. And that's the only reason why they think that they're the majority, because they're outspoken. They have the masses. They have the followers, right? They have all of this, they have mainstream media, right? Because they can do that because people like to listen to lies instead of facing the truth, because the truth is ugly. The truth hurts. And that's why we don't want it. We like this fantasy world that we live in. We love it. We love it. We love it. That's why we don't hold them accountable. We continually to stand with the Keith Ellisons, with the Amy Klobuchars, with the Tim Wallses, with the Cedric Frasers, with the Bobby Joe Champions, with the Deanna Witts, with the police departments. When will we stand with our communities that are suffering? That's what's crazy, right? Because this is what I ask the Black churches. Who do you work for? Do you work for the community, or do you work for the city and the police and the state? That's what I really want people to ask them. Who do you work for? Because the way that you seem, it doesn't that you work for the community, as it may seem, as you say you do, because y'all do more dick sucking for the city than y'all do for the community. Y'all will literally bow down. That's what's crazy as hell when I see these pastors, these Black pastors, all the dick they be sucking all over Minneapolis, all these white dicks they be sucking, especially L. Flowers, all that white dick that be, Mayor Frey be putting his dick all in L. Flowers' mouth, and he just be sitting there taking it like the bitch he is. And it's crazy to me. Crazy how we allow that shit. And yet we have people in our community that are suffering. And yet they'll get up there, that's what's crazy, and lie to the people because nobody will hold them accountable. They will be able to do that. Why do you think they blocked me? They'll say it's because I'm rude. No, well, whatever. Show me anywhere that I ever get out of, especially with Lisa, I was always respectable. It was because I was putting out her dirty secrets. The fact that she was kicked off the crack team for funneling information about raids in North Minneapolis. And that's public information. That is actually in court transcripts. That's not my words. These are other officers that said that shit, not me. These are her co-workers. Her fucking co-workers, not me. Them aren't my words. Those are words that came out in court transcripts that were on sergeant journals. You're saying them are my words. But that's the crazy thing of it is because I put it out there and because people don't know where to go look for it at. Oh, I'm just a hater. I'm a liar. Just like with the guns coming over north. Philip Murphy made a comment that he overheard a conversation of violence interrupters who were, we push for peace, that there was totes and crates of guns that were just being left in the community. And people were like, no, that doesn't happen. Why are you blaming it on police? And that's crazy how people don't want to believe actual people that live in the community. And they'll say that it's a conspiracy theory or it's fake. It's not. You know what's crazy is I think people are actually afraid to admit how much corruption that we actually have in America and how deep it goes. Because they'll put RICO on gang members, on mafia members. What about these politics? What about these politicians? Because they should be having RICO charges up the yin yang. Because most of the bad that happens in the community, you can put back on a politician and you can put back on these nonprofits because they allow it. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. You know, that's one thing that I told, I said, what bothers me about all of this is, you know, when it comes to legislation, is I was sitting with when I first started doing the proclamation, proclaiming racism a public health crisis, you know, I sat with a couple of council members from Red Wing, and they thought it was great. They thought the legislation was great. They thought everything was in it. But they said one thing, Chaz, one thing, you know, what does the city get out of this? I said, what do you mean? He's like, Chaz, we can't. He said, yeah, this is great, but we can't pass this. I said, why? I said, this is solid. This will actually save lives. This will help people in Red Wing. Yeah, but if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. And this doesn't make dollars, Chaz. So it doesn't make sense. And I said, but that doesn't make any sense. So you only pass things that actually work for the city and not for the people? Because you do the people right, the people gonna do you right. And that's just like when you got in North Minneapolis, you have literally organizations that are this is why I know we're so fucked, right? And how deep this has gotten, because they have the Minnesota Promise Act, right? Or whatever, something like that, Minnesota Promise Grant. And it's for businesses that have been affected since 2020 from COVID, civil unrest. But it's for only certain areas. It's not for the whole state of Minnesota. It's for only certain areas. So you only have North Minneapolis and like Lake Street, but you have to relocate is a part of that. You have to relocate. So literally they're paying people to relocate. They're giving them grants to get out of the hood. They're paying small businesses, Black-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses to literally move out of our communities. And nobody has an issue with that. Nobody has an issue with that. Why is that? Why? Why? They are literally gentrifying our communities right in front of our face, and we're not saying anything about it. We're not saying anything. We're allowing it because we want to feel good. Because we don't want to cause what they say a disruption. Well, it's time to start disrupting, people. It's time to start disrupting. Because if we're not going to do it, who is? Nobody's going to save us. Nobody is going to save us but us. Nobody. Nobody is coming to save us. And that's the sad part, that nobody is coming to save us. Nobody. And if we don't do it ourselves, we are going to continually live in this. We're going to continue living the bullshit that we're living in. Is that what we want? Is to continually live in this? Do we want to continually live in the chaos? Do we? Do we? Is this what we want? To live in the chaos? Is this what we want? To continue living in the chaos? Is that what we want? All right, so I am get up out of here for today, man. I hope everybody enjoyed today. Today is Tuesday. I appreciate everybody for joining this morning. Y'all already know what it is. Win or fail, freedom or jail, heaven or hell. Wish me well. And I hope everybody has a great Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. Enjoy your Tuesday. And I'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Have a great one.
I'm not perfect, God, neither are you. Tell these salty motherfuckers to tell the truth. Tell politicians to give up the rooms. Tell silent voters to stand up to the group.
God, it's me. Can you hear my plea? Feeling like I'm lost in this world, can't you see? Demons creeping in, trying to take control of me. But I'm just trying to find the light, trying to break free. I'm not perfect, God, neither are you. But why do you keep forgetting me? What did I do? Trying to have a convo, but you starting to preach. Feeling like I'm on a leash. Can't find no peace, find no peace. Living in hell, can't you hear my plea? I'm suffocating, can't you see? Why you let these false prophets roam free?
Beat money.
While the real ones suffer, can't you see? I'm not perfect, God, neither are you. Why do you keep targeting me? What did I do? Trying to have a convo, but you starting to preach. Feel like I'm on a leash, can't find no peace.
Hardest battles, strongest soldiers, greatest burden, broad shoulders, pushing up, just like these boulders. See conflict like it's water, so this mercy, take my chalice, seeking grace through all this malice. All these salty motherfuckers could give up.
Politics and senators, they all the same. Got me stuck in this endless game. I won't give up, won't play the role. Gotta do what's best
for my soul.
I'm not perfect, God. Neither are you. Tell these salty motherfuckers to tell the truth. Tell these politicians to give up the room. Tell silent voters to stand up to the booth. Living wild but truthfully free. God keep on watching over me. Take my pleas and keep the receipts. I just want all of humanity to be free. And clean the seas and stop the greed. I want to see clean skies and all innocence grown free. This obsession with misinformation campaigns, false narratives, and fake prophets can be combated. Give me the tools, please. No, I demand it. We can be entrusted with duties. We can stand it. God give us the grace, the room to rebrand it. Living through danger, do you see the wars? Do you hear the cries, the lost souls, and unstoppable force? I'm suffocating, do you see me? Why you letting these children die because of no food to eat? Feeling kind of off key, and I seek to find gratitude and peace, not for me, but for all of humanity.
I'm not perfect, God, neither are you. Why do you keep targeting me? What did I do? Trying to have a convo, but you starting to preach. Feel like I'm on a leash, can't find no peace. Feel like I'm on a leash, can't find no peace. Feel like I'm on a leash, can't find no peace.
I'm not perfect, God. Neither are you. Tell these salty motherfuckers to tell the truth. Tell these politicians to give up the room. Tell silent voters to stand up to the booth.
Gotta do what's best for my soul. Gotta do what's best for the community. So take me as I am. Let me be.
Beat money.
Tired of you stressing me. I gotta do what's best for the community. So let me breathe.